Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 126 of the All in Football Fantasy Premier League show and podcast. I am your host, the self proclaimed FPL guru, Alex Rex. And joining me today are my usual suspects of Scott Williams and Barry Stokes. Barry, if you can hear me, where in the world are you today?
Well, if you can hear me, I'm parked up somewhere and I don't think I've got great signal. So it's a bit, I've literally just logged on as well. So yeah,
Can hear you? Yeah, I
I'm
can hear you.
kind of semi winging it a bit like my fellow co-star Scott. So, but I'm in Leicestershire today, in like literally a abandoned road of such. So yeah, fun times.
Best of luck. I hope you're okay for the whole of the podcast. Scott, how are you doing today?
Yeah, not too bad. I was nearly doubling up. I nearly did the podcast from my car tonight, but I'm bastard a bit late. I thought I'll try and beat that horrendous traffic that we've had this week. So yeah, steady away. Busy week. Looking forward to chatting some football and run some steam off on the pitch.
Oh, yeah, looking forward to that as well. Well, thanks ever much. Thanks ever so much to everyone for joining me. Don't forget to like the video on YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. And follow us on our social media platforms: All in Football Pod, All in Football P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Right, lads, let's get started. We've got two games left of game week 21 of the midweek, but we have a pretty nailed on manager of the week. And I'll have a look at the league first because Kieran Ball needs a shout out. 103 points. The Crystal Balls. Absolutely love that name. On to you, Kieran. Going top of the league ahead of Sam Kimoni and then Gavin Webb there in third. Nice and tight at the top. 103 points. So fantastic week for you, Kieran. But you are not manager of the week at this very moment in time because we've got Jack Ashbury with Bayern Brew, 94 points. You might be thinking, Alex, can you not count? But no, he has 15 points guaranteed coming off the bench. It will be coming on for Gabriel Jesus. That puts him on a whopping 109 points. And when I looked on the FPL game week, that put him at 338th in the world this game week out of 11 million people. It's absolutely what a week. If you have a few of them, you're going to be doing all right. So yeah, we'll see. He's a Green Arrows all round. Shock horror for that one. So well done to you, Jack. A quick bit of admin as well for double game weeks. So it got announced that it will be double game week 24 for Liverpool. And it has gone into Everton away and Bournemouth away. Baz, I wanted your initial thoughts on this as the only man with his triple captain left. Still comfortable with that as the double, even with Bournemouth having the best defence in the league at home this season and Everton being sixth on that. You still happy with the double for Salah?
Not really. I wish Dyche was still there. New manager bounce and all that. And also Bournemouth tricky. I wish it was Wolves. I think it was Wolves at home, wasn't it?
Yeah, would
So
have been
yeah,
Everton and Wolves. Yeah.
yeah. So I wish it was that fixture, but I think I'm probably going to use it. I need to. Obviously Salah not obviously blanked for the first time since game week 7 or something like that.
Mm.
So yeah. So hopefully he doesn't blank when I triple captain. But watch this space. He probably will.
It's yeah, he's had his first blank for quite a long time. Manager of the week, most of them have obviously captained Isak, which has been the differential captain is 12.5%. I think it was at the top 10k captained Isak, so it's usually quite representative across our leagues and everything else is that. And I'm one of the lucky Isak captainers this week. So happy days this very moment in time. Scott, squeaky bum time. Got Bruno left to play. It's you need probably one goal, I'd have thought, and then it's you're okay potentially.
Yeah, yeah. I said to my mum, a goal and two bonus. I'm happy with that. No, nothing silly, obviously. No cards, anything like that. And I'll be happy. Yeah, I just looked how bad Southampton were. Like they got beat 5-0, and that really did flatter them. Because they could have got beat 10-0. And I just looked how Man United they should be, but they should be bouncing. Not only did they beat Liverpool, they played really. Sorry, Arsenal. They played really well in that game as well. And like Bruno was like the man who was pulling all the strings. So Yeah, I thought, do you know what? I really did want a Man U player. So I don't mind the next fixture either as well. I think they got Brighton at home. So I thought, a bit of money still because we, not got Haaland. So I went for a bit of a gamble. Um, I wasn't going to captain Isaac anyway because he was flagged. So my captain was going to, so my bias is on Palmer. So I'm not crying too much about the Isaac. But yeah, Bruno, please do it tonight. If he gets a couple of goals, it's been a pretty good week for me. So we'll see.
Yeah, because I mean the thing is, you've still got Isak and Palmer and did you start Robinson as well? Have you got Robinson?
I haven't
No,
got Robinson. I got
no,
Wood.
you've got Wood, and you've also got Hall, haven't you, at the back for a clean sheet
Yes,
for
I'm Munoz as well on
Munoz.
the list.
Yes, it's a couple of really good players. And actually, we're going to look at those players moving forward because Hall and Munoz are part of two of the defences we need to be looking at potentially investing in moving forward. So team seems relatively well set up. To be fair, there, Scott. Let's look at the next fixtures then, because this is what we need to be focused on. Who we're going to be looking to bring in probably over the next 3+ fixtures. And four teams stood out to me. One of them being Man United, but we'll touch on them last because they're probably bottom of the list for the amount of options that are available for us to choose from. So Forest, we've got to talk about Nottingham Forest. Yeah, I understand that Liverpool looked like they probably should have beaten them. They had plenty of chances towards the end of that game, but going 1-0 up, looking great, still performing fantastically well. Um, they've got Southampton at home as their next fixture, which is the greatest fixture not probably of all time. No, it actually, to be fair, it's right up there in terms of Premier League fixtures of all time. I mean, they're behind Derby's rate. It literally is probably one of the best fixtures you could possibly have. Is the worst team in the league at home, Bournemouth away, then Brighton at home, and then followed by Fulham away. So not too bad after that. Baz, I'm going to come to you first on Forest assets. Let's talk about the defence first of all, and the options that are there. Who stood out for you from Aina, Murillo, Milenkovic, Neco Williams? Those are the back four, isn't it?
To be fair, you could have any of them. They all in and about the bonus points, but Aina gets the most bonus points. I think he's the most in the last couple of game weeks or something. I read. I think he's got like 15 bonus points or something like that since I don't know if it's the start of the season or the last couple of game weeks.
Start the
Only
season's
quickly,
15. You say
yeah,
about BPS, yes, 15 since the start of the season, which is only beaten in his team by the obvious Chris Wood.
yeah. So for me, he's going to be one. But if you're looking for that budget option, Nico Williams is your man. I brought him in. I needed some extra cash because all my money's tied up in, yes, that man who is like basically like I don't know, the striker off Wish, Haaland. So yeah, all my money's kind of locked up with him. Where I wish it wasn't, and I had Isaac, but life goes on. So yeah, so obviously Nico Williams is a great budget, but you can't go wrong with any of them. Even the goalkeeper as well, he pulls off some great saves in that game. So any of that back five, you could be happy with, to be honest. I even had a little dig at one of the FPL fair play book because they started Nico Williams over Virgil van Dijk, and then obviously when it was 1-0 to Forest, he was getting it a big one. So fair play to Paul on that one. So yeah, so it was one of them where I think they look solid. I think how they set up with Nuno, they can't go wrong, especially with the pace going forward as well, with the attacking options as well. So yeah, it's great to see him up there. And obviously, I live in the Nottingham area as well, so I know a lot of Nottingham Forest fans. So yeah, so it's great for them. Bad for me because obviously my team, I got beat by the worst team in Premier League history, Southampton, midweek in the FA Cup. So, no, on Sunday, sorry. So yeah, so sad times for us, but Forest looking great.
Point so far, good shout out as well on the keeper because he's the equal top performing defensive player alongside Aina. Aina's 5.3 sells at 5 mil, Milenkovic 4.8, Murillo 4.6, and Neco Williams at 4.3. In terms of points per 90 achieved so far this season, Aina is top of that list, equal with Sells, and then Williams is actually then next on the list. And then you've got people between. We got to pick. You can pick between Milenkovic, who's in more teams than Murillo by about 4 or 5%, but Murillo's got 11 bonus points this season compared to Milenkovic's one, and there's only one goal in terms of their output between them. Scott, your thoughts on it? If you were looking at Forest, would you be um, going all in on a niner, or would you be saving £1 million and going on Neco?
I'd probably save £1 million going Echo. Just looks really, really good, and just always, yeah, he impressed me when he back in the day at Liverpool, and he seems to be picking some of that form back up. So I think it's just a bit more scope for assists with Neco, to be honest with you. So that's where I'd be leaning on a little bit. I'd go Neco.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it'd be a Neco shout for me. 11.5 points predicted for the next 3 game weeks. Let's look at the midfield then, lads. For Forest, the attacking three of being Callum Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, and Morgan Gibbs-White. Scott, we did our differential draft earlier on. So spoiler alert here, but which of the midfielders is really sticking out for you at this very moment in time?
Yeah, I would add. I mean, yeah. So I think it was my first pick in
First pick.
differential draft. Yeah, the very first pick. So I went for Alanga. Just looking like the player, as good a player as that. I think we all knew. Like he got a really good run in the team under Ralph Rangnick. When Rangnick came in at Man United, he was like one of the main boys. He was like, oh God, this is like our replacement for like Mason Greenwood, who had like previously just left and gone, after all these trials and tribulations and whatnot. But yeah, then obviously Ten Hag came in, didn't get an opportunity at all. Gone to Forest, got his big transfer to Forest away from that relegation team to a title challenging team, and yeah, he just looks really decent. Like he's fearless. He's a bit of an old school winger, likes to get chalk in his boots, but loves the shot as well. And when you've got Chris Wood as a target man up there, you're always sniffing an assist. So I think they've got a few good midfield options, if I'm honest. I think Morgan Gibbs White is another one that you could definitely go for. But for me, at this moment in time, I think Alanga is one that just looks a bit more of a threat.
6 returns in his last 6 games, 3 goals, 3 assists.
Right.
One in each game, incredibly consistent. Baz, do you concur, or would you be more on the Gibbs White train, or what do you think?
I think Elanga was one of my options that I was looking for a differential when I had a budget midfielder option. I had Wilson in mind, I had Murphy in mind, and I also had Elanga in mind. Both obviously, all three of them good shouts. And obviously, I went for Murphy because his form and obviously the fixtures going forward. But Elanga's kind of proving me wrong. I should have gone for him. So, but yeah, Hudson-Odoi, I do like him, but he doesn't return as much. That's the only problem with him. He does like cutting in. He's not like a Langer that sticks to the wing. He can go either side, but favours coming in on his stronger foot. Morgan Gibbs White is he just everything comes through him. He dictates the tempo. He works alongside Wood really well. So he is there or thereabouts, but sometimes it could be like an Odegaard getting the assist before the actual assist
Mm.
happens. So for me, I think I probably would be agreeing with Scott and probably going for a Langer if I had the option.
Same price as Callum Hudson-Odoi, 1.2 million cheaper than Gibbs White. Points per 90 of 0.78 more. In terms of returns, I think I'd be the same. I know the penalties aren't there, but you'd go for Elanga, I think, at that point. And then no need to speak too much any more about Chris Wood. We all know how good of an option he is as a striker, playing absolutely unbelievably. But I think we all, at the moment, the standard seems to be probably one of the defenders for Forest, and then Chris Wood in most teams that I see across the board. I wouldn't be surprised if, I think we might be sleeping on an Elanga at 5.2 as a budget option when I still see a lot of Rodgers and Sars and um, Smith Rose, even maybe still in some of these teams, and people are punting on Ahmad and this, that, and the other. I think you could do a lot worse than Elanga over the next few fixtures. Let's talk about Newcastle. Got to talk about them on incredible form at this very moment in time. If I can find the fixture difficulty rating graph, that'd be brilliant. There they are. Bournemouth at home, Southampton away, Fulham at home next 3. They've won their last six or something in a row, something along those lines, a lot. Um, no need to discuss. If you haven't got Isak at the moment, then you're Baz, or you're just not. It's just not working out super well. I think he's got 12 returns, that's 14 or something crazy. It's just he's just on absolute fire. Um, Defensively, Pope looks like he's not too far away. Where would you be investing, Baz? Would you be going for Hall at 4.9, or would you be looking at Livramento at 4.5, or now Shah, Botman, and Burn are all fit? Shah's 5.4, Burn and Botman are both 4.4.
That's the issue with the centre back issue because Burn used to play left back, but Hall's playing so well. How can you drop him? So it's difficult on that one. Botman's a great option to have. I think he's 0.2% owned. So if you want a differential, I think he's 4.3 million or 4.4.
4-4, 4-4, yeah.
Yeah. So he's obviously cheaper than Livramento, who could potentially be a rotation risk with Trippier. Shaw's, I think for me, I don't really like spending a lot on defenders, and I think he's 5 million plus or something around that. Yeah,
5.4, yeah.
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 So for me, it could be probably Dan Burn, who I started with this season. I think he's in my set and forget team. But the only problem is you're not going to get a lot of attacking returns with Dan Burn unless it's a corner. But he doesn't look. I know he's that tall, but he doesn't really get on the end of that many, strangely enough. So for me, it'd probably be a Lewis Hall. He looks the most attacking minded, and also Newcastle's keeping clean sheets as well. So you want that great balance to have. Like for me, for Robinson, when I had him, thinking got potential clean sheet bonuses, but he got obviously 2 assists against West Ham. So for me, it would be Lewis Hall.
Couple of joke assists, to be honest, weren't they? Absolute.
I,
I
I,
benched him. I was so happy that they are complete joke assists. Iwobi's done two crosses and they've both gone through and gone in. And Robinson's got those two. I'm sat there thinking, oh, 3-2, great. Good benching, Al. Well done. Pat yourself on the back. Two. You can't do anything about that, can you? Yeah, Scott, happy Hall owner?
Yeah, yeah. Dangerous, looks good, plays in the full 90 minutes every time, and yeah, I can't see him getting rotated or booked on.
Only defender with any assists this season for Newcastle. He's not getting rotated out. The only other defender for Newcastle who have got any attacking returns this season at all is Cher's got 2 goals because he usually chips in with a couple during the season. Murphy versus Gordon, Scott. Big,
Uh,
big, big price difference. Who do you think will you be looking at in that comparison? I'm going to try and get this graph up if I can do.
yeah, it's a tough one, obviously. And it's Gordon, isn't it? If his money's not an issue, without a shadow of a doubt, as much as Jacob Murphy is been on some real good form, but I think we say this quite often. I think Murphy is one of those that will come in like 2 or 3 game spells, rather than Gordon. He's got it in any game. So they've obviously both, as Newcastle have, they've obviously both been picking the points up. But most recently, that's when Gordon's been picking it up on a more consistent basis. Murphy had those 2 big 13 points in a row. Since then, a 6, a 3, a 5, and a 3. Whereas Gordon's been 9, 7, 6, 10, 6, 6, 1, 8. So for me, it's Gordon. Less rotation risk, although I don't think Murphy's really rotation risk at the minute. I don't think someone like Net Almiron's going to be getting him out of the team anytime soon. I think Eddie Hall's pretty Eddie Hall.
World's strongest man.
Eddie Hall, get him on. Eddie Gray.
He's a
Eddie,
listener,
it's not even
surely.
Eddie Gray.
No,
Eddie Howe.
Eddie Howe, your
Jesus.
favourite man.
He's not rotating and not rotating them front players anyway. Obviously, you got the different question with the defence. But yeah, for me, Gordon. Do you know what? Gordon's worth the money because most sane people have not got Erling Haaland and therefore have money. So we can afford to just be sprinkling those little bits of Tony Gordon here and there.
Yeah, I'm a happy Gordon owner, to be honest. That's definitely a good thing for me. Double the goals of Murphy, two less assists, but expected points. He's performing bang on, whereas Murphy's overperforming. Pretty much bang on his XG, whereas Murphy's overperforming it, etc., etc. So it fit exactly what we're saying there, Scott. I think Murphy may have had his little run and little rise. Baz, can you just talk to me about Crystal Palace? for a minute? Because I know that you are the Mateta and Eze duo's like biggest fan.
Yeah,
Um, are, are you do you own Mateta at the moment in
I do
FPL?
own Mateta. Yeah, I
Yes,
brought him in, and I was quite fortunate. He's actually kicked on and scored. He scored against Chelsea and he scored obviously against Leicester as well. So I
two
was
and two.
quite happy with that actually. Kind of saves my blushes not having Isaac. So um,
They've probably got the best longer term fixtures, Palace. You know, when you look past the next three, West Ham away, Brentford at home, Man U away, Everton at home, Fulham away, Villa at home, Ipswich at home. Like, it doesn't scream amazing run, but it screams like a good run and a relatively consistent run. So, what do you think?
no, I agree with that because if you've got like for example like a budget midfielder like with Sarr or well there's the only one really for Palace. You could potentially go, right, well, I'm not playing against Man United away, and you're not going to probably play him against Aston Villa at home, maybe. So you could potentially put another striker on, or have another midfielder on, or whoever, however your team's laid out. So that's a good option on that front with the fixtures going forward for Palace. But I think they're coming back in their own. Obviously, Chalobah's gone back now to Chelsea. So obviously, I feared for the defence a bit, but actually looking at it, they defended pretty well, even though Leicester should have scored a handful. Don't know how they didn't score. I looked at the XG for Leicester, and they had like about 11 shots, and they were expected like 1.5 goals in the game. So, and I was like, they haven't scored any. And I thought, oh no, they're gonna probably score in the 90th minute or something like that to ruin my clean sheet for Henderson, especially how my season's been going this season. So, but unfortunately, I got the clean sheet. I've got quite good, decent clean sheets actually. Got Robinson with the assist, and then got another clean sheet from Digne. But yeah, for Palace, I think it's time to get on him. I think they're back playing now. Eze looks a great option as well. I was cursing him actually because he didn't do anything in the differential draft, and then he got an assist. So I was like, get in, that's good for me. And Mateta looks like he's back on it. So if you're struggling and you're thinking, right, I want to get rid of Havertz, for example, then I'd say Mateta could be the option.
Yeah, good shouts as well. Scott Happy Munoz owner. And then looking at any more Palace players, potentially you've got Sarr still, have you? Have you got Sarr still?
Yeah, I've got Star. He was one that I was, woman and I really like. He's not returned until last night. So yeah, pretty happy with Star. Certainly not one I'm going to be getting rid of at this moment in time. Munoz, yeah, brought him in because watching a couple of Palace games, he's another one of those players that is just always in and around the opposition's area, even though he's a defender. So he's always sniffing an assist. And do you know what? He's sniffing a goal quite often as well. There's a couple of games where he's missed actually really good chances. So that's why he's in there. So I'm pretty happy with them at this moment in time. I'm not looking at getting anyone else in. I don't think they're flying that well. I would be slightly worried at the fixtures. They're playing if we're talking a month ago, I think these fixtures are really good. But we're talking West Ham away, new manager. We're talking Everton at home, new manager, potential Man United away, potentially turned it around. Watch this space. So a few there that actually could be a bit trickier than there was, say, 1 month ago. But yeah, seems to be turning a little bit of a corner.
Think that's a good point and a good shout. Munoz 4.8 in terms of XG. He's 44th on the list of XGI, behind Sarr, Mateta, and Eze, who's their front three. So he's the fourth most likely to get involved. I chatted him out in podcast game week 1 at 5 million, as I thought he was really quite good value. I think he might be in my set and forget team. I think he was in my original draft. I thought he was going to provide really good value, and obviously Palace started this year like they were. I don't know what happened to them. They were terrible, weren't they, to start the season? But now they seem to have really come on. So yeah, good side all round. And from a Man United perspective, I'll just touch on them briefly. It looks like we've got a relatively settled lineup now. From it's sort of whether you play Ahmad at right wing back or you play him as part of as a 10 and Dalot plays there and might start Garnacho in that other 10 role. But yeah, it feels like it's Hoyland's the main man, and then you've got Bruno Fernandes playing just behind him, Ugarte, Mainu, and the usual backlot. So the attacking returns, it's It's Bruno or bust, really. Hoyland should be getting more opportunities. But yeah, if you've got the money to invest in Bruno, like you have done this week, Scott, I think you could do a lot worse than gambling on him for results. Let's have a look at our differential draft then, lads, because this is what we did earlier on today in terms of our picks. I'll read through my team first. The guy who's in goal for Leicester, what's he called?
You, what's,
Stolarczyk? I think that's how you say it, isn't it? I
Yeah,
mean,
like,
I'd literally rather not even have a keeper, I think. Then I've got Milenkovic at the back at 7.8%, Savino, Hudson-Odoi, and Mateta. Baz?
yeah, it's
What would
quite
you?
good. You got Mateta, who's going to be my striking option.
Well,
Um,
better than Richarlison, mate.
well, yeah, I thought went a bit rogue on this one. I thought I got a bit giddy. I went a bit crazy in defence, to be honest, because I thought, I've got getting some clean sheets in my actual proper team, so I'll go double defence since Scott picked Foden. So I've got Ortega in goal, rotation risk because of how angry Pep was. I've gone for Murillo because it's Southampton. I'm going for Reece James. Hopefully he lasts the full 90 minutes and scores a worldie free kick. That'd be nice.
Mhm.
Morgan Gibbs White, just because he's the second best Notts Forest midfielder. And then Richarlison, I thought he's come back from injury. Hopefully he can get a goal against his former club. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, you can tell that Scott had first pick with Alanga and you had second pick with Morgan Gibbs. I was just like, really. I was like, going third this week's not great. Basically means I get Hudson-Odoi. Really, unless you wanted to double up on the midfield. That's why I went Mateta as my first pick. Scott.
yeah, I've gone for Kinky Boy in goal. Kinksky. He's just, do you know what? Just for the vibes, he's just hilarious, isn't he? He's so casual on the ball. I don't
So
expect him to keep a clean. Don't expect him to keep a clean sheet, but under 1% for a Spurs goal is probably not bad. Nico Williams already talked about him on the pod. Alanga, same. Foden as my over 5% option. Looked really good actually last game. The City seem to be getting a bit more into the stride now a little bit, seem a bit more themselves. KDB's pulling the strings a little bit more, and Foden seems to be linking up a bit better with Haaland. So we will see. Ipswich away is a nice fixture, and then Delap because City can't keep clean sheets, and he's a bit of a beast. And he's ex-City, so he's gonna want a goal there, isn't he? So
I mean, literally, if Baz hadn't gone for James for banter, he was going for Kevin De Bruyne, and we'd have literally all had a Forest defender, a Forest midfielder, and a City midfielder. Yes, it feels like that's where the points are going to be this week, and just put our under 1% in goal. Yeah, the striking options are really thin on the ground, under 5% at the moment, aren't they? That's what we found when we were doing this. But don't forget to get your teams into to Baz, and then on the next podcast we do, he'll review the results of game weeks 21 and game weeks 22. To round off, lads, quite a concise, short and sweet podcast, but we know everyone's got to consume this within the space of about 48 hours before the deadline. Game week 22's deadline is at 11 a.m. on Saturday, the 18th of January, and it's Newcastle Bournemouth is the early kickoff, followed by Brentford Liverpool, Leicester Fulham, West Ham Palace, and then the evening game is Arsenal Aston Villa. Then we've got Everton Spurs, Man United Brighton, Forest Southampton, Ipswich Man City. Then we've got a lovely Monday night football of Chelsea against Wolves. Couple of captaincy options that stick out to me straight away here are probably a Palmer at Wolves because they don't seem to be able to keep any clean sheets. Chris Wood at Southampton, or someone from anyone really from that team, but Wood would be the main man, or potentially just Isak because he's on absolute fire against Bournemouth and he's playing at home. Uh, which one of those do you prefer, lads? And any I've missed? Are you thinking about Haaland away at Ipswich, Paz?
Yeah, why not? For the band, I'm going Ireland, stuff it.
you may as well, mate. You got nothing to
Yeah, I
lose,
know.
have you, at this point?
Yeah, thoughts,
And
Baz. Oh, sorry, Scott. I'll go with you, Scott. Sorry, you were about to say.
yeah, no, yeah, it's a really tough captaincy this week. You've got players there that are all in form and have all got nice fixtures, so it's a really tough one. And again, I'll throw into the mix my captain that I've got tonight. I think depending which Man United team turn up against Southampton. Brighton are not particularly in great form themselves. I think in a home fixture against Brighton, he could throw Bruno into the hat as well on that one. It's a real tough one. At the minute, it's on Isaac, but it might be on Chris Wood because Southampton's so bad. Do you know what? If Southampton get pumped tonight, I think it has to go on Chris Wood because he's on
Yeah.
absolute flame. So are Forest, and Southampton is so crap. So watch this space for tonight. If he doesn't, I like but Chelsea are actually on good form as a team. I don't know, tough one. And there's also Mo Salah, but Brentford away is tough.
Brentford are really bad defensively though, aren't they? So it still could be Salah, couldn't it? Let's be honest. But it's another captaincy a bit like this week, isn't it? Which is interesting because there'll be an array of different captains. Most people will still stick it on Salah because they're scared. But then there'll be a hell of a lot of Palmers. And then Isak's got to be wrapped up in there. So, Baz, is it if you don't go for? Have you got Chris Wood? Have you got Mateta Haaland and what have
No,
you got?
I've got João Pedro on her. With my
Mateta Haaland and João Pedro.
yeah, great strike force. It's
Uh,
about as good as mid fence with Mazraoui, isn't it?
hey, I brought him in draft this week.
I saw that as well. I was going to rip you for that after what you said on the pod.
I might actually go extremely rogue and go suicidal Sid and go Nico Williams as my captain.
Go on.
Probably keeps
Again,
it
you may
clean
as
sheet.
well. And you may as well.
But I think it's either Haaland or Palmer for me. They're two.
Yeah,
Logically, it'll be Palmer, but emotionally, since I've kept him for that long, I think I might go for Haaland for that reason.
it's a tricky one. I mean, the expected points AI is Palmer with 8.2, then Salah 7.8, Haaland 7.3, Isak 7.1, and then it drops down to Wood at 6.2. I think Neco Williams is about 4 or something down here. But you Palmer is what the AI say, and then it's pretty close between the rest of them. Chris Wood at 6.2 points against Southampton.
Or I might just bring
Adam.
out the wheel again, stuff it.
I think it could be one of those weeks for the wheel, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like
it could be.
Bring out
it's
the wheel.
we'll have a look at it. At the moment, my captaincy is on Isak. I've just gone with form, just purely on form. I think when you've got a player that's in such red hot form, you returning 12 of the last 14 or whatever it is, the numbers, I can't remember what it was, something insane. Um, he's the only first Newcastle player ever to score in 8 games consecutively for the club. Like he's just on fire. I'm gonna go with the form, and that's from playing FPL for over 10 years. Like just you go with the form of the player. If you're tight on the fixture, you just go with the form.
Tell you what, though, just looking at Bournemouth last year, they don't concede many goals at all, Bournemouth. Just looking at the sort of last few results,
But
not that
they're
many.
no, their XG. Well, so they're 50. Oh, that was their away. That was that was their away from home. No, that was the home stats. Yeah, that was their home stats. Their home stats where their XG was 8. XGC was 8th in the league and 15th. No, 15th, wasn't it? Yeah, they're the best. They're one of the best defenses in the league at home, but away, I'm not so sure.
It's just that early kickoff. And I think as well, maybe if you like to watch your captaincy, there's a few there that are playing like you part Chelsea are on TV, Newcastle on TV, so maybe that could sway your decision as well.
Let's have a look. Goals conceded away from home this season. Bournemouth are bad. Leicester 27, then it's Wolves 25, Villa 19, Ipswich 19, then it's Bournemouth in 18. Bournemouth have actually conceded one more goal away from home than Southampton have. So
I might go for
Wow.
Palmer then, since Wolves have conceded 25.
Wolves at
No, you're going for
25.
Nico Williams.
I'll put him on the wheel just for that reason then.
No, you better
The,
do.
Imagine what happens. Can't wait for that. But right, lads, right, let's wrap up here. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Thank you to all the listeners for joining us this week. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe where you get your podcast from and give us a 5-star review. Follow us on our social media platforms, All Football Pod, All Football P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And also take a look at the football FPL Affairs Facebook group that Barry's an admin of with his second team that he's investing all of his time into this season. FPL Hardcores, obviously, looking at their league position. Barry, thank you.
Thank you.
Scott, thank you very
Cheers.
much.
Thanks a lot.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.